guys, before we get started with today's video, I want to go ahead and let you know that as of uploading this video right now, that I'm going to be doing reaction videos, like 1 or 2, every Saturday exclusively from now on, to keep up with my release scheduling for one thing, and to go with a release scheduling that perfectly fits in line with the current pandemic that we're under right now. On that note, I'm also going to make it a habit of uploading at least one review and or countdown video by the end of every month. And on that note, if we manage to reach 300 subscribers, which I hope we do very soon, I'm going to be doing a review of another platforming darling, because, well, why not do one in celebration of that like I did with Spyro 3 Year of the Dragon with 100 subscribers, and that will be on Super Lucky's Tale. So, once we hit 300 subscribers, I will definitely be doing a review of that. So, with all that out of the way, sit back, please, and enjoy. Greetings, loyal viewers, and welcome back to another Gargantuas Reacts. Oh, it feels good to be back to these again. I'm gonna start slowly but surely getting back onto these, especially as we're getting closer and closer to me uploading my first countdown video in a while. Now, it's not gonna be a big one, the first one anyway. In fact, the bigger one that I had planned, I'm pushing back to next month, because I want to refine it a little bit, especially with more and more games that I've been playing. But nevertheless, for today's reaction, I'm going to be reacting to someone who I've definitely been watching for a while, AntDude, and his new video, this time talking about the Spongebob movie tie-in game. Now, I have played that game, and I have beaten it a couple times, to the end at least. I've never 100%ed it, don't get me wrong, but I definitely enjoy it. It's definitely way better than it has any right to be, being a movie tie-in game. Also, on a side note, before we get started, am I the only one who thinks that the box art for the movie tie-in game actually looks better than the actual movie poster for the movie? I don't know. That could just be me. I don't know. What do you guys think? I'd like to know. So yeah, without further ado, let's get it on. The AntDude logo. I like that.
I'm a goofy goober. Rock. Spongebob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom was a big success. Reviewed positively, sold well enough to get those ugly labels slapped onto the box,
yep,
and
pretty
over
much
time garnered a really solid following. Full-blown remakes don't come out of nowhere after all. Enough people gotta show love to the original. Also, before we continue with the rest of it, just as a side note, if you're going to buy the game, make sure to just buy the regular one, because trust me, all the other ones are so expensive, it's honestly not worth it. I mean, don't get me wrong, those statue figurettes and those other stuff looks cool, but is not worth the fucking asking price. Just saying right now. But with an obvious hit on their hands, Heavy Iron Studios had to be brought back to make another game starring the sponge that lives in a pineapple under the sea. And it's a movie tie-in game as well. By all accounts, also,
I noticed how he has the scene with David Hasselhoff on his computer there. He does that with all his videos.
Being a train wreck. The thing is, though, whenever Battle for Bikini Bottom is in the conversation, the movie game is sure to follow soon after. It was made by the same developer, and only released about a year or so later. It shouldn't be possible, but we may actually have a hit on our hands. From what I recall, the movie was pretty good. I remember really liking it. And if you were interested in the game at the time, you were probably
came out
one of two different things.
I'll talk more about that later, but I definitely like it a lot.
A common trend for any media tie-in video game, or you bought the game day one and spoiled the plot of the entire movie before watching it because it was released weeks beforehand.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say up front, the SpongeBob movie is one of those movies I love, but I never saw in theaters. So, and just like he said, me and my brother actually played the tie-in game first before we ever saw the movie when we finally got it on DVD, which we did, granted, get as soon as we could, and I'm glad we did at that point, because even by then, everyone I knew at my school, including my friends, were talking a lot about the movie, and we still quote a lot of it, even to this day. If you want to know more about that, I'll leave a link to my History with SpongeBob video down in the description down below.
Excuse me, what? Either way, since this game is technically a sequel
yeah,
to
that actually
Bikini
came out
Bottom,
before
it
the
is
movie
still
even
interesting
released.
looking at this as a standalone
That
game,
was
not
something I
associated
didn't
with the
know
movie.
about.
Let's take all the good stuff we did when we made a platformer based on the world of Bikini Bottom, as well as including a bunch of references, and now try to do the same thing, but with a feature-length film. Neat. Oh, and like last time, what about the SpongeBob movie game on PC? Still, no. Point and clicks don't really do it for me, I'm sorry. Oh, but what about the GBA version? Listen, it's gonna take a few therapy sessions to look at a portable SpongeBob game and not get war flashbacks to Legend of the Lost Spatula. Oh my god, Mrs. Puff, what happened? But you know what they say, when in doubt, pinky out. Maybe this one is the one for me. Alright.
Kinda makes me wonder what his thoughts are on the Telltale games, since those are still technically point-and-click adventures.
Ah, Jimmy Neutron, Fairly Odd Parents, Avatar was close to
I
premiering.
remember
It
that.
wasn't on TV yet. Whoa. Whenever games include something like this, it's like I'm traveling back in time. 2004, back when only the second season
I do
of
remember
SpongeBob
those.
was about to release on DVD, and
On that note, I do know that Fairly Odd Parents game at the time that also had those promotional trailers in them.
Story is being told. There are far more in-game cutscenes than last time, which is really cool.
Please tell me he's going to bring up the fact that they actually got Clancy Brown in this one as opposed to Battle for Bikini Bottom, which he's still not going to have. Yeah, exactly. Which they're still not having for the remake. They're just going to be using the old audio clips.
But it seems really weird for some scenes to have work done to them and some to not. A few of the pictures here aren't even from the movie. They just slapped together a bunch of clip art in Photoshop and called it a day.
Yeah, that I find was kind of lazy.
From the movie to string the game along. What is
albeit low quality FMVs, but still, this game from 2004 has no fucking leg to stand on.
Sad to say,
yes,
David
thank you.
Hasselhoff didn't receive the same fate. You see, Mr. Hoff
that was kind of sad
part in the movie, but I guess because he's a big deal or something, in the game he's replaced by
whatever the hell that is.
Oh, that ain't Hasselhoff. To spare you from going over the entire story of the film, essentially, SpongeBob is depressed after not becoming the manager of the hot new sequel to the original, The Krusty Krab 2. As he drowns his sorrows with Patrick over a ton of ice cream, Plankton steals the crown of King Neptune, frames Mr. Krabs for it, and begins taking over the entirety of Bikini Bottom as our Sponge and Starfish hero duo go on a manly adventure to return the crown to its rightful owner.
Well, I know what movie I'm watching tonight.
Enough to where it converts into in-between level plot points fairly easily. A lot of the movie is just a road trip between two bros reacting to whatever pit stops they make along the way.
Yeah, I liked that those occasionally appeared throughout the level.
It feels like most of the movie was covered here in ways that make sense, and that's really all you can
for the most part, yeah.
It's inherently not as appealing as exploring the entire world independent of being associated with an already existing episode or movie, but hey, we got cutscenes of a 3D SpongeBob model being drunk. I think that makes up for it. There's also a new animation of SpongeBob being scared, and it's absolutely terrifying.
I think that could be more,
Battle for Bikini Bottom, alright. I can already understand why these two games are usually in the same conversation now.
Because they basically, not only is the gameplay the same, but the character models are pretty much the same, too.
Collectathon, giving you sizable worlds to explore with 8 golden spatulas spread throughout them as rewards for different challenges. The movie game is far more linear. You book it from point A to point B, deal with a few enemy obstacles and platforming challenges.
Which, to be fair, I think was about the best that you could do with a movie tie-in game for the SpongeBob
like a bit of a downgrade going from a sandbox to not that, I'm actually totally cool with this. It's a change of pace.
Yeah, I'm okay with that too, in
it
all
already
honesty.
allows the movie game to stand
I even like how they made a full-sized model for the freaking owner of the Shell City gift shop.
This game really speaks to me. Yeah, the platforming is quite alright. Nothing mind-blowing, but jumping around is fun, attacking enemies is enjoyable. You do lack some of the abilities you have at the end of Battle for Bikini Bottom at the start of this one, but you unlock slight variations of them over time, and there's even an upgrade system on top of that. By collecting enough barbells to level up your manly meter, you can pick and choose where upgrade points go.
Manly meter.
Actually feel like they're useful. Initially, I thought this idea was pretty forced, but it actually turned out to be a worthwhile addition.
At least most of them,
boy,
anyway.
Look at my man go. If anything comes off as a downgrade, though, it's that you can only play as Dirty Dan and Pinhead Larry, as opposed to having Candy as an option as well. It makes sense. She didn't have that strong of a role in the actual movie, but still, she was my favorite.
Which is kind of disappointing, which is probably one of the only disappointing aspects of the first movie, looking back on it, was that a lot of the side characters barely had much of a presence in the first movie. I get that it's Spongebob, and he's supposed to be the heart of the movie, and Patrick is also a very well-loved and popular character, so it kind of makes sense that he would also join in on the road trip. But I liked a lot of the other side characters from the show. I wanted them to have more screen time in the first movie, which that's something I can sort of give the sequel and possibly the third movie credit for, is that they at least had more of them in it. I don't know.
In the last game, it's because of the swinging. Primarily just that. Luckily, that mechanic is still present. You just use Patrick's tongue on floating ice cubes instead. It feels just as good to use, but I'm gonna miss the conveniently placed floating Texas symbols, not gonna lie. And while this is definitely a more linear experience...
She from Texas, guys!
You'll run into a few extra trinkets and unlockables this way, but for the most part, you are always going exactly down the path the game wants you to. The bulk of your options lie in these wide plethora of challenges that end up taking place on these really randomly placed squares, conveniently sitting off there to the side. You got Monkey Ball-esque rolling challenges, Mario Sunshine-inspired platforming in weirdly colored voids.
Yeah, I always thought those were very familiar.
One where they just troll us with a single jellyfish. That honestly caught me off guard. I felt very weird about that. Going through a series of rings. Who doesn't love a good old-fashioned ring challenge? That would be me. I don't love a good old-fashioned ring challenge. I especially enjoy jumping around in this one because the background started...
The only time where I've ever found them to be tolerable are in the Spyro games. At least the originals.
Fun. And alongside the handful of platforming stages, there are sliding levels as well, reminiscent of the same mechanic from the last game, and driving levels where you control the paddy wagon. All these years later, that name is still amazing. And I actually really like this. There's still
and I love the design of the paddy wagon. It's simple, but effective. Now, we're going to go ahead and stop here and take a quick little break to talk about the video. So far, I think it's a fair review. Definitely got a good chuckle out of me here and there. Like I said, AntDude is one of those guys I've definitely gotten into a bit recently. Not that he's super funny or anything, but he is at least competent in his reviews, for most of the times anyway. So yeah. Like I said, I'm a little bit skeptical about the third movie coming out, and I definitely do have some slight concerns for the remake for Battle for Bikini Bottom. Yeah, you can call it Rehydrated, I know. But overall, I definitely want to watch the first movie again after seeing this review. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, let's get back to it.
That being said, though, there is a problem, and it comes from needing to play through all of these stages so many damn times to get more and more tokens. You will often jump into a new main level
AKA
and you can't progress until you get a new skill, which you can't get until you have enough tokens. So the quickest way to do that is to do the extra missions in the sliding and driving stages. You already did the level normally, now do it under a time limit. Now go through the rings. Now do it in a tighter time limit.
I think we've jumped through enough hoops for you, Mindy. Then how about jumping through rings instead?
Mindy, you suck. Some of the things they expect you to do in the final time trial challenge is insane. I'm pulling off these ridiculous shortcuts here, and I'm still just kinda short of the time needed. They're also prone to glitches too, so that's nice. Here's me in a perpetual jump, so it's impossible to finish the slide. Good stuff. Most of the time, I love challenges like this. Mario and Sonic games have these things all the time. The thing is, though, in those games, they're optional, a means to complete the game 100%, but not necessary to see the game's ending. Here, though, you definitely have to do at least some of them in order to simply beat the game. And I think it is safe to say, it's pretty dumb. Oh.
Yeah, I love optional challenge as much as the next guy,
but... The boss battles are unfortunately lacking as well.
Yeah.
They're not bad, just incredibly simplistic and super short. The bosses in Battle for Bikini Bottom had you use each of the characters' abilities
which I like.
Ways.
Not that I would have expected them to be that great, because... I know
you gotta stick to Dennis on Hasselhoff's hairy back because it's canon to the movie, and saying that out loud was pretty weird, honestly, but it still feels like they didn't try to make something good out of these. You lay on a bunch of hits, Move on.
Yeah, but
now,
again,
I know I'm doing a bit of complaining, specifically when compared to the more universal...
That, and the fact that, again, it's a movie tie-in game, so I can't really expect them to be able to pull off everything so well like they did with Battle for Bikini Bottom, because, again, it's a movie tie-in game. The fact that we got anything decent as a whole at all, I think, is pretty impressive.
So why am I suddenly forced to replay missions with strict guidelines and deal with underwhelming bosses? That wasn't a thing last time, and it's not like people were asking for it. The SpongeBob movie game did release only a year after Battle for Bikini Bottom, after all, and it was made to tie in with the movie's release, so maybe this was rushed? It's still a quality movie tie-in game, so that's remarkable in and of itself.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not as if it poisoned the water supply, burned the crops, and delivered a plague onto our houses, but we're also technically talking about a platformer sequel here. I can't say for certain, and it's not as if
he's
it's
made a lot of
quality,
SpongeBob
but
references in this
decisions
video,
like these
didn't he?
definitely
Not
make
that
it
I
seem
blame
like
him.
it needed more time for polish that they weren't afforded because they had a strict deadline to meet by their orange, slimy overlords. Also, the total number of tokens only reaches 68. You guys were one away from the funny number, man. Come on. At least the final boss is kind of decent. It goes on for way too long, but it's at least based on timing your jumps and attacks in a more precise manner, so it's nice. The Goofy Goober theme plays halfway through as well, so credit where credit's due. That's pretty cool.
God dang it, he didn't play it!
We're treated to another slideshow with poorly thrown together graphics, go through the credits, and then you get sent back to World 1. Wow, that's really anticlimactic. You don't even get anything special for collecting everything. One additional cutscene and a handful of minor extras, so... So, beating the game doesn't really feel like much of an accomplishment, completing it doesn't really get you much of a reward, but the journey from point A to point B is still really fun, so... That puts the movie game in a bit of a weird place. I may not have played every single SpongeBob game out there, but after Battle for Bikini Bottom, the one that every series fan can get behind, I went into this game expecting it to still be good, but not as good. And yeah, that is basically what I got. We ultimately still have an enjoyable 3D platformer here, with enough polish to make it a worthwhile adventure for SpongeBob
I love how Plankton
fans
has
and
that
platformer
flag up
fans
his butt
alike.
like Patrick
It's not
does at the
awesome,
beginning
and it
of the
probably
movie.
won't get these
That's a
same
really funny
rehydrated
touch.
treatment, since it is still based on an older movie, but it's still a good time.
Oh, there he is.
Alright, so I guess I'm reviewing a bunch of SpongeBob games now, huh? Well,
I'm not complaining.
We'll return to the land of Bikini Bottom soon enough. Rehydrated comes out pretty soon.
Yeah,
so
that's coming out
as
in
good
June,
a time as any
believe it
to
or
make
not.
that return. After that, I mean, we've already covered 2 of the games. There can't possibly be that much more. I know there's a couple people talk about, but there really can't be... Oh, there's like 10 plus more. I did this to myself.
Yeah, you did. So yeah, that was the review. It was quite enjoyable, quite informative, and definitely mirrors a lot of what I definitely think of the game in of itself. It's a good movie tie-in game, which, compared to the sea of really bad ones, is definitely quite the accomplishment if you ask me. There are definitely ones I enjoy a bit more, like Toy Story 2 on the PS1 and even Toy Story 3 on the 360, which is actually another fun one. It even opens with its opening level definitely reminded me a lot of the animal riding levels from Crash Bandicoot, which, let's be honest, any game that has one like that, especially if it's still fun, definitely deserves some points from me. Until then, I'm King Gargantuas, and take care.